everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I realise it is not the morning for you guys, so apologies. Good afternoon, happy Sunday everyone. Hope we're all having a really lovely week. If you're new here, my name is Holly. I make food and fitness content. Today we have a bit of a foodie style video, so I'm crying already, jeez. So today's video is going to be a what I eat in a day, but this one is basically focused because, guys, my PCOS is kicking my ass at the moment. This flare up that I'm having is the worst I've had in years, probably since I had my endometriosis surgery. Also, if anybody does want any more just kind of general information on my PCOS and endometriosis journey, I have got a whole video on it. I'll link it in the description box below. But yeah, the flare up that I'm having at the moment is bad. It's very frustrating. I know exactly why it's happening. I'm gonna go into more detail later on in the video, but this what I eat in a day is focused around kind of getting my PCOS back on track. I know normally I have some super interesting meal ideas and things like that, but for me at the moment, the focus is basically on eating like simple meals, reducing my sugar spikes, reducing my sugar intake, getting my carb level basically back on the normal level that it was on when I wasn't having any spikes or flare-ups or hormonal hurricanes essentially. So that is what we're going to be focusing on today, and hopefully this helps because I do know a lot of girls that follow me do also have PCOS or endometriosis and they do really struggle. And guys, I cannot tell you the impact that my food intake has on my PCOS. It's crazy, and I feel like this is just such a big example of it. I am about to head off to the gym, so I'm going to do an arm day. It was going to be arm day and 5k, but I did legs. I trained my legs properly for the first time for ages because obviously I've been prioritizing running. So my legs are in bits, like the DOMs, I couldn't even get out of bed this morning, like it hurt that bad. So I'm actually gonna push the 5k back to my rest day because 5k to me doesn't really feel like I'm like pushing myself that much. So it's just going to be a rest day 5k now, and we're just going to be doing arms day, which I'm really excited for. I feel like I'm back in the gym now. I'm ready for a routine. All my holidays are out of the way. I'm just focused on fitness goals, getting healthy, getting my PCOS sorted, and getting back on track, essentially. So first thing before the gym, I'm going to have 2 Weetabix and a little bit of milk. Sometimes I would have a bagel thin, cinnamon and sugar ones, but I don't want to kind of start my day by spiking my sugar like that anymore. I'm really trying to kind of step away from having squares bars or having sugary bagels. I might go back to them, that's not me ruling them out forever, but just at this moment in time, I think starting my day with a sugar spike probably isn't the best thing for me. Also, if you're watching this and thinking like, what the hell does sugar have to do with PCOS? My PCOS is insulin resistant, basically meaning that sugar, mass intake of sugar or a mass intake of carbs can actually cause sugar spikes. Basically, I'll go into it in more detail later, but it can basically cause hormone spikes as well. So we're trying to keep our sugar levels as flat and just trying to regulate them throughout the day. So yeah, we're gonna start the day with some Weetabix. From that arm session, that was a really good session. I feel like this whole week, because it's kind of my first week properly back in the gym post like summer, post half marathon, I'm trying to like set myself some good few benchmarks just to kind of see where my strength is up to. And I'm not as weak as I thought I was going to be. Definitely have some improvements to make, but as we work more towards winter, as we start to increase the food, the strength is going to start building up. So I'm feeling good with the benchmarks that we set today. I'm going to throw together a high protein breakfast. This is going to be carb free because we did allocate some carbs to our pre-workout snack. So I'm going to be having chicken sausages, the ones that I've shown you on the vlogs before, the ones from Tesco's that are really fat, some bacon, some eggs, and I'm also going to be having some of those giant mushrooms, just kind of like pack it out with a little bit more volume. This is my breakfast bowl. I know it does look a little bit beige. Normally I would like scramble the eggs and that would give it a little bit more color, but I just couldn't really be bothered today. So we went for fried eggs instead. This bowl is just filled with fats, proteins, which is just absolutely essential for my diet right now. I really wanted to do like a cute coffee aesthetic making portion of the video, but instead I just poured water down myself. And now I look like I pissed my pants. Oh no, I don't know if I have enough ice. It's okay, we do have enough ice, I think. Oh, I hate that I do this. I drink an iced coffee every single day. Every single day. Why can't I speak? Every single day of my life when I'm in this flat, I make an iced coffee. But for some reason, I always never have any ice. I just forget to get ice and I end up with these horrible draggy little bits at the bottom of the bag. I just need to get those like silicone ice makers, and then I would always have ice. I'd always be able to have a nice coffee. I wouldn't have to have these slimy little chunks at the bottom. Oh, it's just so good. Every time, I sit down, it's just a world of pain at the moment. Right, now I'm sat down, it's a good time to talk to you guys all about my PCOS symptoms, like I mentioned earlier in the video, and kind of how I've been with them recently, because like I mentioned, I've had the worst spike that I've probably had in a good 2 years. It's not been fun, let me tell you that. So first of all, I kind of want to give a bit of background information. If you guys haven't watched the video that I referred to earlier, it gives a lot more background. So if you are feeling a little bit confused with some of the terms or parts of the journey that I'm referring to, it's definitely a good one to go and watch that one first. So recently, obviously across summer and things like that, I have been a lot more relaxed with my diet. I've been running a lot more, which has been amazing and so fun and so good for my mental health. With that, I noticed that my weight did slightly drop during kind of my phases of training for my half marathon. Because of this, I felt a lot more relaxed with my diet, which was nice. I had a bit of a break from tracking as strictly and things like that, and I kind of ignored my macros. So my normal macro split is slightly lower carb, high protein, high fat. I'll pop the exact amounts on the screen for you guys. With kind of ignoring my macros, I did notice that I was having an increased intake of carbs. I was eating a lot more sweets. That Percy pig jar that you guys would have just seen, that was not very full the other day because I was just kind of letting myself have a little snack every now and then. With that, it's great, it's amazing. I think if I was somebody that didn't have PCOS, I wouldn't have to think about it as much. I then went away on holiday the week before my half marathon. It was an all-inclusive, which was lovely. But with that again came lots of eating, lots of drinking. Guys, we live in a very carb heavy world. Every restaurant you go to, every cafe, anywhere, everything comes with carbs. So when you're trying to kind of balance a lower carb diet and you're at an all-inclusive and every single meal is coming with carbs or focused around the carbs, things are very pasta heavy, pizza heavy, things like that, it can be a little bit difficult. Also, I was on holiday, it wasn't at the forefront of my mind, I was just enjoying myself. That was fine for the week. However, that in addition to the previous weeks where I had also been a lot more relaxed with my diet, I hadn't really been tracking my macros, I've been over-intaking on my carbs and my sugars, kind of started to build up and have an effect. A pinnacle thing that sticks in my mind as well was while I was away on holiday, obviously with it being all-inclusive, I was having a few drinks. I would probably say I had around 5 pina coladas every day. at this resort. They were amazing. I was addicted. I couldn't stop drinking them. Looking back on that now, cocktails are so filled with sugar. That is what makes them so nice. So to introduce 5 sugar bombs, that's what I'm going to refer to them as, into my diet every single day, on top of the increase in taking carbs, was not very good for my sugar levels. And while it kind of didn't have an effect at the time, I could see some smaller spikes in some of my symptoms, but it wasn't really until last week that I almost kind of felt like it hit me like a bit of a truck. I probably was having them on holiday, but I was probably a bit more distracted, whereas like coming home and being able to focus a bit more like on my health and my fitness, I really noticed it. So just for a little bit of a backstory, a lot of women with PCOS also find that their PCOS is insulin resistant. This basically means that if you have an intake in sugar or sugary foods, which does also come with things like refined carbohydrates, your insulin levels will spike. Spiking in insulin levels causes an increase in your PCOS symptoms. So essentially, if I'm following my normal diet, which is slightly lower carbs, slightly lower sugar, I reduce those spikes. So I have a lot more stability within my symptoms. I still have the symptoms, they're just not very severe. They don't feel as kind of impactful on my life. Going through a period of about 5 weeks of not really giving enough about my diet, eating a lot of sugar, going and drinking a lot of drinks that were packed with a lot of sugar, it put me in a bit of a bad place for my PCOS symptoms, which I'm now obviously trying to get myself out of, which is really frustrating because I would love to just go about my life and not have to worry about things like this. But unfortunately, this is something I've been diagnosed with. It's something that I'm very well aware of, and I want to say that I'm not going to have those 5 weeks like I did ever again in my life, but I probably am, because at the end of the day, I still want to live my life. It's just kind of learning how better to cope with them, maybe, and maybe having things in a little bit more moderation rather than 5 pina coladas a day, but I'm digressing. So the symptoms that I'm currently suffering from, and I've actually written them down in a list because I really wanted to talk to you guys about them and kind of go into a little bit more depth, because I'm sure that a lot of you will be able to relate to these. The first symptom that has been quite prominent recently is bloating. I will insert a video. This was me after breakfast. I have been getting severely bloated recently, specifically in my lower stomach. Like, I'm waking up and it's almost like my lower stomach is bulging out, and I haven't had that for years. I used to have it kind of at the peak of my PCOS symptoms before I got diagnosed and learned how to handle them, but it has been really bad. It's been really painful, and it's so frustrating to kind of wake up every single day and just feel bloated. It puts me in such a bad mentality with my body image, which I have worked so hard to get out of over the past few years. So it's really frustrating, but that has been really bad. Along with the bloating, I've also had quite bad back pains, and just constant, like, almost uterus pain. That's like the best place to kind of describe it. It just feels like a weight is attached to my ovaries at the moment, and it's just constantly like pulling. Along with that, and I don't know if a lot of girls will get this, and I'm going to talk about this because it's a bit strange, but it's something that I had to research quite a lot because I didn't really realize that it was a thing. I almost get a lightning bolt sensation through my crotch. And that sounds so weird, but it's literally like a lightning bolt. I think that's the only way to describe it. I get this like lightning bolt pain from the bottom of my crotch, basically my vagina, through to like my ovaries, and it's just this really sharp shooting pain, and then it stops and it goes away, and then I might have like 2 or 3 more that day. Again, this was something that I used to get at the height of my PCOS symptoms, so I know that is what it's related to. It's also a common symptom of pregnancy, which leads me on to the fact that I did a pregnancy test the other day because I was so convinced that my hormones were so ridiculous and my symptoms were so bad that I had to be pregnant. That was the only possible answer. I convinced myself for about 2 days that I was pregnant because I was like, maybe this isn't a bloat. Maybe there is a child in there. Guys, I'm not pregnant. I'm just bloated AF right now. The next symptom kind of leading on from that is hormones. I have been struggling. I feel like I'm at the end of it now. I kind of go through like a week or 2 weeks where I just feel like I've got a big cloud over my head, and it feels a bit hard to feel positive. And I'm a very positive person, so I get really frustrated when I'm in that headspace. Definitely feeling a lot better than that now. I think along with the hormones, it doesn't help when like you feel hormonal, but you're also really bloated. So then you're upset that you're bloated, but you're also just upset because you're just hormonal. So that upset about being bloated is twice as much as it normally would, and you just generally feel a bit crap. So Hormones have not been the best, but like I said, I definitely feel like they're leveling out. I've had about 3 days back on my diet and I instantly feel the kind of results of it. Like this morning I woke up happy, and I can't remember the last morning where I woke up and felt like a bit motivated and a bit driven and a bit happy about the day. I feel like it's been a little bit more of a struggle over the past few weeks. Another symptom is headaches. I've been suffering with quite frequent headaches. I've also had tooth pain, which I am unsure whether it's to do with my PCOS or my wisdom tooth. However, my wisdom tooth has been coming through for a very, very long time and it's never hurt before, and it's only over the past few weeks that it has hurt. And again, I did a little bit of research, and your hormones can have a bit of an impact on your teeth. They can make them feel quite sensitive. So I'm thinking that it's been coming through, but my hormones and feeling a bit sensitive are basically making it a bit more painful. That's kind of what I'm assuming. I might be completely wrong, but that is just another symptom that I have noticed. And when I looked it up again, it was another symptom of PCOS. And then we lead on to hair growth. I think it's called like hypertrusiism. I think that's what it's called. I'm definitely pronounced that wrong. So my hair growth has also been increasing, which again is another frustrating thing, because you're feeling crap about feeling bloated, you're feeling crap about your hair growth, and then you're just generally feeling crap. So I think it's funny because like I'm obviously laughing about it now, but the symptoms have really been getting me down. And I just kind of want to talk about them because it's so normal. If anybody else is experiencing these symptoms and you have PCOS, it is completely normal. And I think when I first got diagnosed, everything just made so much sense to me. But also at that moment in time, like I didn't know anybody else with PCOS. I didn't know any influencers with PCOS. I didn't really have anyone to kind of gauge my symptoms off. So I just basically wanted to lay this all out with you guys and let you know that if you are suffering with any of these things, it is completely normal. Like I said, have had 3 days of trying to balance my hormones through my food, and I already feel miles and miles better. So if you are really suffering, something I would stress that is important to look at is your diet, because I cannot tell you the impact that my diet has on my PCOS. And I already knew that, but having these past few weeks has kind of cemented that in my mind, and it is now at the forefront of my mind, and definitely something that I'm gonna push forward to keep in check, even if I'm going out for meals, even if I'm having weekends with my friends. It's just something that I want to be more conscious of, because I feel like I'd almost dug myself into a bit of a deep PCOS hole, and now I'm having to kind of dig myself out. And it's fine to dig yourself into a little bit of a shallow grave, but to dig the full grave is not enjoyable, and it can definitely be managed. So if anybody is struggling, it probably is just a good pointer to maybe have a look into your diet and look into what you're eating. Also, again, disclaimer, PCOS is not one size fits all. I am not a specialist. I'm just out here talking about my symptoms, how I manage them, and trying to give advice based off of that, basically. Anyway, I'm going to go drink this iced coffee. I'm also going to grab a protein wafer, and then I will see you guys for lunch later. Oh, that noise just... Nothing will ever beat that first sip of Diet Coke. So it is lunchtime now. Please don't scream at me. I know I say this in every single video, but I am going to be having a tuna pasta salad. I can't help it. I just can't help it. I just love them. But I have made a slight change. So previously I was having those like light penne packets, which are obviously lower calories. But if you actually look at the carbs of those, the carbs of those packets is a lot higher. I don't really understand the like process behind that. I don't understand why. As I'm trying to be on top of my carb totals for the day, I have just switched to normal pasta. One swap that I am trying to make is switching to more whole wheat fusillis and whole wheat pastas. Whole wheat pastas are just generally better for you because they're full of fiber, which is really, really good for PCOS. So I am going to be having more whole wheat fibers and whole wheat breads, and trying to stay away from kind of like refined and white carbohydrates. I am going to try and stick to it because, like I said, I'm trying to make a really massive effort to kind of get back on the feel-good hormone at the moment. So yeah, I'm just going to be making this. I'm not going to show you guys too much of it because I appreciate it's really effing boring, and I do it in literally every single video. Sometimes I do just think to myself, I could just eat the tuna pasta out of this bowl, because who is really going to judge me? Like, especially when I'm not filming and I'm just in the flat by myself, I'm like, I could just eat it out of the mixing bowl. And there would technically be nothing wrong with that, but like, it just feels illegal. Here is today's tuna pasta salad. Obviously slightly different to the usual ones, just with the different pasta, but basically the same thing. Right, I'm aware that the lighting in my flat is an absolute nightmare at night time, but I'm just about to throw dinner together. I am honestly suffering from the worst DOMS in the whole entire world. I just sat down on the sofa for like 10 minutes and I just considered staying there until it was over, to be honest, because they hurt that bad. But dinner is super simple. I'm going to be having a burger, but I'm going to be making it with a bagel thin instead of a brioche bun. So the burgers that I'm going to be having are these reduced fat beef burgers from Asda's. Is that what they're from? Yeah, Asda's. And I'm just going to have one of those, a little bit of a side salad, and a nice slice of cheese. This honestly does look a little bit sad, purely because of the fact that I don't have any lettuce. I forgot that I ate it all at lunch and basically couldn't be able to go get some more. So here's what the salad's looking like. But having a bagel thin burger is honestly just a better way to have a little bit of a lower carb, lower cal burger. So it is now dessert time. I've actually saved a fair amount of calories today so I could have a big mug cake. So I'm going to be having a 50-gram mug cake with 2 pieces of dark chocolate. I have missed my mug cake so much, and that is so sad. Like when I was on holiday, I don't really like normally eat dessert when I'm away just because of like nuts and things like that, so it made me crave my mug cakes more than anything. So yeah, I'm gonna throw that together and show you guys when I'm done. Again, like the tuna pasta salad, I'm not gonna bore you with a tutorial of a mug cake because I've done them 1,000 times. I am looking so shiny right now. This is just my face, I'm just gonna have to live with it. So that is my mug cake done. Let me show you guys because this one came out so good. Look at that, my mouth is watering. So I am gonna sign the what I eat in a day off here, guys. Hopefully this has been helpful if any of you suffer with PCOS. Obviously, like I mentioned earlier, what works for me won't necessarily work for everyone, but hopefully if you are experiencing a flare-up, you can maybe have a little look at what you're eating, see whether that does have an impact, because like I said, it has the biggest impact for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday.